Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the PL Report. It's our ninth episode, and well, we're not going to start with the Champions League today. I'll be Let's be straightforward with this. I'm going to talk. I want to talk about the last two fixtures that happened over this week in European competition. I want to talk about the Europa League. The Europa League is every year, bar none, is an excellent competition. People don't watch it as much as the Champions League, but the actual games that are there in the Europa League, there's always a twist to them. Always, almost always, there's a twist to them. And I watched one of those two games last night. I did not obviously watch both games because they take place simultaneously. But the game I watched last night, which was obviously the United Roma game, was fantastic to watch. It was an excellent watch, and especially for a fixture that was 6-2 in the first leg. It it was ridiculous. I usually tell me about the Arsenal game. We'll start with that. We'll start with the Arsenal game. Like,
These lords said, trust the process. Fuck the process. I want everyone out, from the management to the fucking players, except of the youngsters. Everyone fucking out. The owners too. Pack their bags and get out of the club. It's an absolute mess of a club, dude. No,
well, they
you
were
tell
in the
me.
Europa League semis. Like,
No, you tell me something. A
yeah,
club
go
that
ahead.
lost 6-2 in the first leg,
Yeah,
Roma, who appointed a new manager for the next season, they lost 6-2. Keep that in mind. Gave more of a fucking fight than a team that were actually in the competition very much. It was a 2-1 in the first leg. If they
yeah.
got one goal, one fucking goal, they had one shot on target. That's how pathetic this club has become. One
Okay,
shot on target,
okay. Tell me
Florentino.
about the game. Tell me about actually what actually happened. Like, how did it go? Like,
It
what
was
were
a
the
shit
tactics?
show. It was a shit
Okay,
show.
fine.
What else do you want to know? Obama hit the post twice. That was the only, what do you say, positive of the game. And then
Okay.
Arteta decides, let me just take off the best player for fucking Willian. And he did that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He took off Aubameyang yesterday.
Yeah, he took off Obama in 70th
Okay.
minute for Willian. Who Willian hasn't
Yeah, we
contributed
like
much
okay, let's
towards
not
the
get into Willian. Like you're already a
Yeah,
bit hot tempered. Like,
that's
let's not get into the Willian thing because we know how much of a shit show that's been. You're absolutely right about that part.
my god. Not, I think, apart from Emil Smith Rowe, I don't think anyone cares about this club. Maybe Tierney and Bukayo Saka, but they look
Hmm.
exhausted. Tierney just came back from an injury, and
Oh,
you're
okay.
asking,
Tierney was playing yesterday. What the hell?
yeah,
That
he
makes no
played,
sense. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and Bukayo Saka, who's been carrying this club for the last 1 year on his
Hmm.
fucking back. Of course, he's bound to have a bad game if you keep all the pressure on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't blame him. And then there's this manager or so-called manager, Mikel Arteta, fucking assistant coach of Pep Guardiola. Still, I think he's still at that level only. He's not at the elite level to manage a top football club. I can't even call it a top football club now. I'll get
Yeah.
bantered for it.
That I would agree with. Yes.
I can't call it a top football club. We made the
Yeah.
semi-finals. And God knows how. We played shit against Olympiacos. We scored 4 goals against Slavia Prague. I don't know. There was some other agenda to it, and like Lacazette turned into beast mode and everything. But
Yeah.
apart
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
that, we've been shit throughout the year. I
Hmm.
really want Daniel Elk to buy the club. He's talking the talk. He needs to buy it now. He needs to put the bid in. He's
Yeah,
talking a
I think
lot of
I think
shit.
that's all talk, honestly. Like, I'll be very honest. Like, okay, fine. Like, let's do a bit of a thorough go through of this club. Like, let's talk a bit about it. Like, we've been bouncing around with it. Like, we've been talking around it. Like, but we haven't really gotten into it. Like, in terms of how does this club go ahead? Okay, so we're okay. Let's be done with the Arsenal Villarreal part. Like, that game, like the game, you basically told us it's. They
It
didn't
was a shit
really
show.
go for it. Emery didn't have to go for it. They were already there. They went for the 0-0 and they got their result.
Yeah,
So
they just needed the draw. They were ahead. They didn't need anything else.
so
They
okay,
needed to
okay.
keep the future that they did.
Yeah, they qualified and they did what they had to
Yeah.
qualify, as you're telling me. So let's talk about Arsenal then. Let's have a bit of a like a like a referendum or some sort of intervention kind of thing. Like let's really talk about. So give me your perspective over the past year and a half or however much time Mikel Arteta has been in the club, like what have you seen in terms of growth? Because this guy has no experience, and that was always going to get him a lot of that is going to curry favor, especially because he's coming from Guardiola's tutelage. So give me what do you think he's learned over the past year? What do you think has been happening from at a managerial perspective? Ownership will go into a bit later. Let's talk about
Yeah.
this first.
Let's talk about the managerial aspect. So, first of all, I think the first year it came in, he finished eighth. I won't give him all the blame because Emery had screwed the club till November, but still there
Hmm.
was a lot of time for him to cover up, and he
Hmm.
messed up a lot. I mean, he doesn't have the best squad of players, but he can easily make top six if you look through paper.
Hmm.
If you look just through paper and how the players are and the qualities, he gets them together, if he wins the dressing room, he could have gotten them six. He won
Hmm.
the FA Cup.
Hmm. What happened here? His internet is gone. I think. I apologize, viewers. Like the one viewer that we have live.
Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you now.
hello.
Yeah, you were in the middle of something, and
Yeah.
then I think your internet just gave up.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So I was saying,
Yeah, yeah, no.
Obama was in insane form that season. He was carrying the club. He had like
Yeah.
25 goals or something when they won the FA
Yes.
Cup, and they parked the bus against Man City. They played
Hmm.
half decent against Chelsea, and they were lucky to get the win. And
Hmm.
after that, it's been all downhill. We
Okay.
barely win like one or two games a month for an elite
Hmm.
football club. That's absolutely devastating. There's
Okay.
no
Let's
street for a
stop
club to
calling it
win.
an elite football club. Like I don't see the point in doing that.
Not anymore. Not anymore for sure.
Like anymore and all is fine, but I think just like like that idea that our club is elite, right? Like that is kind of the downfall for a lot of fans. Like people don't aren't able to accept the fact on where their club actually is. Like I would never call Manchester United an elite club. Like it's a revenue, it has huge revenues, like there's no doubt about it. But like the concept of putting, like that's where the idea of this super league and these kinds of thoughts come to play, come to the minds of fans and people around when they think of themselves as an elite club. Like think of yourself as a club who's trying to win things. Okay, go ahead. This is beside the point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Is my voice lagging for
Yeah,
you?
yeah, your voice and everything is fine. Yeah.
It's fine, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So now the thing is, if it was any other manager
Hmm.
except of Mikel Arteta, he would have
Hmm.
been fired when he was fighting relegation in November, when they were
Okay.
having relegation scares.
Hmm.
First of all, he's been given a lot of chances, most probably because he was cheap, and you know how Stan Kroenke and the owners look at cheap. They'll get him, they'll keep him. They don't care about the club. It
Okay.
doesn't matter to them.
Hmm.
And then Mikel Arteta had a good few months in December, January, but then the team lost his switch again. I don't see him staying in the club after this semi-final defeat. It was the only thing we had. We fucked up the Carabao Cup. We fucked up the FA Cup. The only thing we had a positive against the FA Cup. He played his B squad and he lost in an early round. That was bound
Hmm.
to happen. In
Hmm.
the Premier League, we're going to finish max eighth. If we even look at the positive, if we beat
Okay.
West Brom and if we like get
Yeah.
a few get results, it's eighth. It's not nothing better than ninth.
Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's 8 to 10th for us anymore. So the season's
Yeah.
finished.
There's no European football, and I think that's what matters,
Yeah,
right? Like especially
there's
for
no
a club like
European
Arsenal. Yeah.
football.
Yeah. Like with the
And
club
like,
of Arsenal's revenues, like yeah, you would
yeah, with
expect
the club
want
of Arsenal
European
revenue,
football.
plus
Yeah.
to attract better players in the squad, you need to have
Yes.
some
Exactly.
European
Yes.
football. I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
any good player, I don't think Odegaard's going to want to stay and play for the Premier League and Carabao Cup without any European football. He would
Yes.
much rather play in the Champions League with Real Madrid.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
That's why we're not going to get better players in this way also. So we're
Okay.
kind of fucked for the next 2 seasons, unless a
Okay. Yeah.
miracle
Okay. Then
happens.
okay, I get your retrospective, but like, what do you think Mikel Arteta has gotten wrong? Like, what is the problem? Like,
Everything, dude. He tried
that's
playing a
not an
false
answer.
nine
Like,
for.
give me specifics, man. Like, you can't just give
Okay, I'll
general
give you a
reasons.
specific reason. I
Yeah.
think we played false nine against Villarreal in the first game.
Yeah. Okay.
A false nine formation that in the world, I think the only team who can pull that off is Manchester City. He
Okay.
first of all thought his squad players to be like Manchester City. He
Hmm.
expected Emile Smith Rowe to play a false nine position. We got
Hmm.
battered in that match. We were lucky to get a goal with the penalty. We
Hmm.
were lucky. We were absolutely battered. Villarreal could have scored three more. That's
Okay.
one thing he got wrong. He's played the false nine formation before also, and he tried playing Willian at false nine.
Hmm.
That didn't work out either. And
Okay.
against Liverpool also, we got battered 3-0. And his excuse was I got it wrong and everything. And like we were absolutely pathetic. You like
Okay.
I'll just take the example of Manchester City versus Arsenal. The score was 1-0, but there
Ah.
at no point did Arsenal look like they were scoring or threatening.
Yeah, I watched that game. It was quite terrible to watch. Like the Arsenal looked like school kids. Like I'll be honest. Like, but I like okay. Okay? We talked about the manager. Like I let me give you my 2 cents on it. I don't know how much matters, but yeah, like at least let me like we are on a podcast. May as well tell you what I think. I think yeah, the manager is at fault for some of this, but I think the level of squad management that Arsenal have undergone in the past few years, I think it's been really poorly run as a recruitment club. Like the players
Oh
they
yeah,
have
we'll get to
recruited,
that also later if we get
yeah,
the time. Maybe
like
not today,
yeah,
but
okay,
yeah, we'll get to that.
no, we'll discuss what all aspects we can discuss today only. Why do you want to spread it out? Like if somebody like if you're talking about the club per se, let's just talk about the whole thing that we've seen. So I'll start with the recruitment. Like the management part, I can't really answer because like honestly, the guy had no experience. What is he supposed to rely on? How the hell is he supposed to? He can't rely on Pep Guardiola's methods because Pep Guardiola's methods are for players who are at a very high level and can perform functions that require a certain amount of skill, right? So he can't really pull off the Guardiola thing, which you already mentioned. So his ideas that he's gotten from Guardiola, some of them will not, most of them will not work because the squad is not at the level for it to work. So he's not done well, that's for sure. But I still don't think he is the root cause of all the problems at this club. The root cause has been the recruitment strategy, the
The
ownership
owners,
model,
yeah, I agree.
and their weird reliance on agents for recruitment. Like I don't get those ideas at all. Like you got rid of your scouting system and you're completely agent based. Like what the hell are you doing? Like you basically just want to cut costs. Like that's what you're trying to do, isn't it? Like that's what it sounds like to me. I am not an expert on this. I am just a person who's able to read a few articles and try and find out what's going on in the situation, and I'm able to watch games. So I have no expertise in this, but the idea of getting rid of majority of your scout structure to rely on agents to tell you which are the good players, that sounds pretty stupid because agents are not unbiased guys. Like they won't tell you what's good for your squad. They'll tell you what's good for them because they'll want to sell their clients to you. So I don't get it. Like I just don't get some of the ideas in recruitment that this club has had. And the think tank, like obviously there's a flaw with the think tank because any club which joined the European Super League has a huge flaw in their think tank. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, but there is an extra level of stupidity that has been going on under the Cronkies, and like a weird thing like 3 year contract to Willian, David Luiz has been pandered to so much, and then like Hector Bellerin, you can't figure out what to do with him. Like
Do you know a
then
fun fact? Do you want to know a
yeah,
fun fact?
go ahead,
Mikel
man.
Arteta offered Mustafi in a contract extension. That's where I knew he was fucked up. He offered Mustafi a contract extension.
I think Skodran Mustafi is not the terrible player. I think it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. Like he made Arsenal worse and Arsenal made him worse. So they both kept going down, down, down. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
that's
act.
fair, of course, but
Yeah,
you don't see any reason to offer him a
yeah.
contract
That's
extension,
you're
do
no.
you?
I'm not saying you're wrong. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. You're absolutely right, Ayush. Like there is no denying that. Like Squadron Mustafi has not done enough for the club to deserve. Like Socrates, like after a certain point, you could see that Socrates is not going to. Poor Mertesacker was dragged along for so many years. Like some of the things I can forgive with Wenger because Wenger had done so much and he understood so much of what the club is about. And looking at the club now and the way they manage the aftermath of Wenger, it's much much worse than what United did under Moyes. Like it's like the club is completely in tatters by the looks of it. And the Super League could have been a saving grace. Honestly, I don't blame Arsenal owners for really going for the Super League because they knew that their finances are going to be punched in the balls and they are in a complete shambles. And I think honestly, I don't know about Daniel Elk. I don't know what he'll do. He has no background in this. He's just the owner of Spotify. Okay, and Spotify aren't really known for their for their approach towards the music industry in such a way that you'll think of them as saviors or whatever concept that Arsenal fans will definitely delude themselves with, because that's just how fan bases work nowadays. So like I don't see what the answer is honestly, and the level of mismanagement has been so brilliantly destructive. It's really hard to see how they come out of it. Do you have any idea on how they can come out of this, Ayush?
I think right now we're going through the lead stage, if you remember, at a time when they were relegated. We'll bounce back after like 10 to 15 years, max to max. I
Do you
don't
think
see
Arsenal
any
will get
other.
relegated? Like, I don't see
They
that
won't get
happening.
relegated, but I think
Like a
from
Newcastle
the
thing,
falls
maybe like
of
they just
grace,
dip down a bit, or like how
yeah.
Newcastle became a top 10. Like they did drift into relegation over a period of time, but with the way football finances are so skewed towards the bigger clubs, like I don't see that happening. But I think Arsenal have to tear everything down. I think maybe stick with Arteta for a bit, tear everything down, get rid of all the deadwood that you have in your squad. Think of what you like, try and emulate clubs in the terms of your scouting and your recruitment, and like you have to put in a long term process here, because short termism will not get you anywhere, and this has all been because of short term ideas.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure. Whether be it Willian, David Luiz, they're not looking for the future. They're just
yeah.
trying to fix the problems in the current, and that's not working out for them. Senior players aren't stepping up. So I think you're absolutely right there. If they want to keep Arteta in, which I
Hmm.
think they will, because he's not as expensive as other managers and
I think
everything.
is it about the expense, or is it because of the fact that he has a cachet? Like, first of all, he's has no experience, right? So he
Yeah,
can
so I
forgive a
think,
lot of the mistakes.
hmm,
And you need someone to carry you with a bit, and any other elite manager will not come and carry you through a 2 year rebuild or a 3 year rebuild. You will need a guy like Arteta, like somebody like who doesn't have the wherewithal, or you have to blood in a new guy who does not have experience at an elite club. Like get in somebody like a Graham Potter, or somebody with
oh yeah,
ideas, somebody with a
I'm thinking
philosophy.
of writing an article on that because his
Hmm.
perform like the way he runs Brighton is absolutely exceptional. With the squad of players, I mean, you can't expect Graham Potter to finish the chances, but the chances created and the quality of play that Brighton played. I think
Hmm.
for a manager, he deserves a lot of credit there. So I think he'd be an interesting option if Tottenham
Yeah,
scored
but
for
I
him.
think I think you still deserve the criticism for your players not finishing chances, because like you
Yeah,
have to put them in those positions to succeed. And like I'm not saying it's all Graham Potter's fault, but I'm not saying he's completely faultless here. Like you that those kinds of things, like especially at elite level coaching, like we I don't have the capacity to understand it, because I am not an elite level finisher. So how the hell am I supposed to tell anybody how to finish their chances, or a coach to tell his player? Like I that's way beyond me. I cannot tell people how to do that. But yeah, I can tell the fact, like at least I can, from a viewer's perspective, I can tell that these are the flaws that you have in your current system, and you need somebody who can get rid of those flaws by actually finishing the chances that you're creating, because you are creating chances. So there are some disbalances in the squad, and there will be some flaws when Graham Potter comes in. He's not going to lead you to the top instantaneously, but
oh yeah,
maybe as a long term.
I don't think any manager, if he's not backed up with the players that he wants, the management and anything, and he doesn't have the recruitment support, he's not going to
Hmm.
get us that far. I think with Arteta also, I don't think. I think I read this somewhere. I'm not sure if it's wrong or right. He didn't
Hmm.
actually want Partey. He wanted to sign Awar, but he was a bit out of their price budget. I think it was like 60 million or something that they were asking for Leon. So they couldn't
Hmm.
sign Awar, so they got him Partey instead, which I don't
Yeah,
think
well,
is playing
the
the same
Partey
role.
thing is like Partey is being given too much shit for this. More than half of this is not on Partey. Like
Oh
how
yeah,
could you
for
think like
sure.
that?
But
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
saying that how the management did
No, no,
back
no.
Arteta as a
I'm
manager.
look. I just wanted to point that out, because quite a lot of Arsenal fans will be like they will want to kill Partey for this. And like I wrote an article on Atletico Madrid, right? So I was on their like what do you call it, the subreddits and shit like that. I was
Yeah.
checking it out to post stuff there. So like they were like the they had shared a thread of Arsenal fans blaming Partey for everything. Like one man does not ruin your team, and you've reached a European semi-final. Like let's not pretend as if these guys did nothing. Arteta has achieved something. A European semi-final means something. But yeah, on the overall, this season has been abject failure for Arsenal. No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it.
for sure. I don't
Like
see
anything
anything
you want
other
to
way.
add on this, or like should
I
we
think
move on
the
to the
I
other
think the
fixtures?
only positives that Arsenal came out with this year were the youngsters, whether it be at
Yes.
Bukayo Saka, I mean Smith Rowe, or even I mean even he's not giving chances to Reece Nelson. He barely played Martinelli. There are a lot of problems. Let's just not get into it. I mean,
Hmm.
there's a lot of fucking anger right now. Also,
Yeah, I
maybe
think okay, maybe we'll take this topic up on another day when I think the
yeah,
situation has
things
calmed
are
down a bit.
better. Hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so we'll obviously end this Arsenal rant here. So we'll talk about the other game. The like I sat in on this. Like I started watching yesterday. I went in. I was like, yeah, like it's gonna be pretty simple enough. Like I honestly thought they're going to play a very changed side, but they didn't do that. The only positive that I saw from a odd selection perspective was the fact that Donny Van de Beek started. Like this is
Oh yeah, I
me
was
at the beginning
surprised
of
to
the
see
game.
that.
Well, I was hoping to see that because like you were 4 goals ahead. Like why would you be so worried? But well, Roma gave us a reason to be worried. Like they came out of the into the game. They were on the front foot. They were creating chances, and the best part about it was I saw vintage David De Gea. I was able to enjoy
Oh
that
yeah,
again. I was able to enjoy that man when he was at his peak, and he gave me that glimpse again into the past. And I was so happy watching David do well. Like he was the only shining light for us for a few years. I
I
think
think
Arsenal fans would vividly remember that
I
day when
was I
he
was just about to
saved
say a
everything.
quote from
Yeah.
DP when he said David De Gea at his fucking prime could save the fucking Titanic, and he's absolutely right about that.
Oof.
I
David De
mean,
Gea in
there,
his prime was a beast to watch. He is honestly like on a daily basis that that when you're watching a goalkeeper weekly, I have never seen anything as good as what David has done. Like that speaks a lot to my own inexperience as a football viewer, but what he was doing was fucking fantastic. And he showed us what he's got in his locker once again. Like, and it was the funniest part about it was, well, he was, well, yeah, like even some of our viewers, like this is actually my brother who's watching. Like he's like,
oh,
well, had to go down the wormhole of Dave's saves.
just
Well, because like he's got an array of saves, like as we know, and like Kshitij has already mentioned. And he was fantastic. And like he got so good after a point. He was so into his positioning and all those things that shots that he shouldn't have saved were also somehow coming off of his legs or something or the other. Like he's not even attempting a save, but the ball comes off him and goes away from the goal somehow. And like the first half, like before Cavani scored that goal, Cavani again excellent in this game. Fernandez was excellent in this game for what they were doing. Well, they created United created a lot of chances as well, but the finishing touches were sometimes missing. And
yeah.
well, the
Regarding that, I have to ask you a question. So Roma
go
had
ahead.
22 shots yesterday, and I think
Hmm.
a good chunk of them, if I'm not wrong, 12 of them were on target. Do you think if
Yes.
there was any other keeper other than De Gea, the game would have been on for Roma? Do you think De
Well,
Gea kept you guys in the tie?
honestly, Dean Henderson is capable of brilliant saves, but sometimes I think, yeah, well, the situation
I
is that
think,
David has had a career of doing this. So
yeah,
I don't know if Dean Henderson would have done it, but I was glad David was in that spot. Honestly, like at the highest level, the guy who's proven himself to be the best, you would rather want that guy. Like even Iker Casillas at 34, 35, like Buffon. These guys have that ability to roll back the years and produce saves that you don't really expect them to do at a certain age because they are such exceptional keepers. Manuel Neuer, look at him. Sometimes last year for Bayern Munich, he was rolling back the years with his awareness. Like Neuer adds a lot more as a goalkeeper, but than almost any other keeper in the world. So like his awareness, his timing, his clearances, his sweeping, like all those things. Sometimes Neuer will do them so well, and last year he was doing them all the time. He was rolling back
oh
the
yeah,
years, even though he's not going to be physically in the same exact shape. But that experience counts for so much. Sometimes you just have to know where to put yourself in order to avoid goal, in order to save the goals, and that's what David De Gea did yesterday. And I was very happy he was in that. Like the complete situation could have been very different because in the second half, especially when Roma were rolling, well, the fullbacks were to blame. Tellez was too narrow. There was so much space on the left. Like that's where they were scoring the goal. Brandon Williams is not exactly a right back. Like
Yeah, I
he's
think he's
learning
played
that
out
position.
those
He doesn't even
positions.
have a preseason in the position. Like barely. Like these guys have barely played in the positions they were playing in. Solskjaer made the changes for fair reasons, but it could have gotten very dicey. And good for United, it didn't. But another thing that we have to talk about here, and which most people will not talk about, United pushed back. Like they didn't completely fold. It looked like their defense might fold for a bit, but United still went for it because they knew the best way to counter these attacks, to counter this Roma pressure, is to cut them. And that's what they did. Cavani again came up trumps. Bruno Fernandes was part of the goal again. I thought Donny van der Beek grew into the game quite a bit. He wasn't excellent, but he did his job pretty well. And he was like, the problem with that was that Donny van der Beek didn't know how to position himself in a lot of
I
situations
think
because
he
he's not
also
a
tried
left-winger.
to play it safe, I think, rather than taking any risks.
Yesterday he wasn't too bad that way. Like he did attempt the things, but well, the problem is that's not a position he's used to, and you can't expect
Mm.
him to suddenly get used to a position he's barely played in. Like he's a
He's
central
barely played
midfielder by
throughout the
trade.
season. Screw position, he's barely played throughout the season.
That's obviously true as well. But
Mm.
like I don't know. Like Van der Beek has to be blooded and he has to be given time. And I think these last few games could be very important there, especially if they seal their second place. I think Donny van der Beek should play a lot of games. He should not play the final
Mm.
maybe, but he should play a lot of games because you need to embed the guy. Otherwise, your club will not like. Otherwise, he'll be a flop and he'll be massacred because that's just how it works. If you're not an excellent player, if you're not Bruno Fernandes, you're complete garbage somehow. And I don't know. I don't understand these ideas at all. Like, dude, you're watching humans play. Do you understand? It's not binary. It is not one and zero. These are not robots. Like if you have margins like in your particular life, you could make small mistakes and get some things a bit wrong. If you have the ability to move on from that as a human being, why not give those guys on the pitch that opportunity? Like what the hell is wrong with you? Why are people so unforgiving online? Like why? I don't get it.
Don't know, man. It's the
It's a
harsh
different
reality,
tangent.
I
I
guess.
went off. Like I
Mm.
apologize. That was not what we were talking about. But like it's sometimes it just really pisses me off. Like it's really irritating. And I think overall I would just want to say good on United. They got through. They scored that goal. They cut Roma pressure off. Roma scored again in the end, but yeah, by then it didn't really matter. Did you watch the
That's
second goal that Roma scored? Did you see that goal?
I could watch the match. I was too sad mourning over the Arsenal game that I was
Yeah, fair
watching.
enough. Like if you have time now, just watch that second
Yeah,
goal
I
because
would. I
it was
would.
completely out of the blue. Like
I think I said this about the first leg also. If I wasn't an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't have switched on the game. The United 6-2 was much more of an interesting game to watch
yes,
than
both
that
legs.
shit.
Like I was so surprised
Both
with the
legs,
second
yeah.
leg. I can't tell you. I was actually very excited in the end. Like I wasn't excited that they're going to the final. I was excited. Like I did not expect anything from this. I thought it'll be tame as fuck, but I
Mm.
really enjoyed that as a football game. And because we had a 4 goal margin, I had the opportunity to not be too worried about the consequences. Like
Oh
if
yeah,
they're letting 3 goals there, then yes, I would be worried. And I would be biting my nails off. But
they
like because
scored
they didn't
two.
score, I
So
could still be like, I was able to laugh at all. I was laughing for the last 20 minutes because it was so funny to me. Okay,
so
let's talk about the big games now.
let's wrap up the UEL. What do you say
Yeah.
discussion by predicting? So, what are your predictions for
Okay,
the
yeah,
final?
let's do the prediction part then. Well, this is hard, like honestly for me.
Is it?
Like, well, Villarreal did well. And it's always I generally when I already have a side in this, I don't like to predict. I'd rather you predict, and then we'll see how
I'm
things
not
go.
going to
Maybe if
lie.
Sumit wants to give a prediction, he can give one.
I mean, even though Villarreal are in the final and they played well and they've been pretty much unbeaten in the Europa League campaign, I
Hmm.
still don't think, considering the brilliance of the individual players only in Manchester United, be it
Hmm.
Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Cavani in hot form, 4 goals in his last 4 games, I
Hmm.
don't see them letting this slip away. I think right
Okay.
now this is the only thing they have to fight for. They've pretty much secured second place. They're out
Hmm.
of the other cups and everything. And Europa League win and a title would be something for old to keep. As you know, what do you say? It's not something. I can't find the word, but like it's there to prove his worth on his campaign and anything, to prove that
Oh
his
yes,
campaign
definitely.
was good
Yeah,
enough.
definitely. Oh, no doubt.
And
You're
like
absolutely right
they've
about
reached
that
at
part.
this point, like fair play to United. They beat
Hmm.
semi-finals or semi-finalists 6-2 in their first leg, and like
Hmm.
they played extremely well. So I
Hmm.
think they deserve the win, and I don't think Villarreal, of course, it's a final. They will put up a fight and everything. Everyone will go all out.
Hmm.
I mean, either thing can happen in a final. If you reach that place, whether it's against Manchester City or anything, the teams are going to fight. It's going to be a show for sure. But
Hmm.
I still think United are going to edge over. Maybe even if Villarreal play well, the individual brilliance,
Hmm.
even if United aren't gelling together, it's just those
Hmm.
moments that they rely on. Like against RB
Hmm.
Leipzig also, when they scored
Hmm.
5 goals in a short space. It's the
Yeah,
quality of
yeah,
the
yeah.
players that at the end wins you the matches. So I think that can
Yeah.
happen. And I'll
Okay.
have a good bet on Manchester United. What about
Before
you?
I talk about what I think, I'm not going to predict the final. Okay. And
Oh,
my brother is a United fan as well, and look at what he commented. He's not going to
not
predict
fair.
United fixtures. Obviously, I like your brothers. I obviously agree with him on this one. Like we watch football all together all the time. So, but the very okay, I'm going to. There are a couple of caveats to what all you said is. First of all, a final is you never know what goes on in a final. Like the
Exactly.
final is the most ridiculous fixture. It can be ridiculously poor or it can be ridiculously good or it can be ridiculously average because whatever expectations you put on a final, it will not live up to them. Generally, I think the only final that I really remember living up to expectations was the Real Atletico final in which they scored 4 goals, 3 goals in extra time or whatever, and
Yeah,
uh,
and Ramos scored
and
the
the World
header
Cup
in the
final,
last time.
the last World Cup final, the 2018 World Cup final. That was an excellent game to watch, and
Hmm.
those are the two main fixtures that I remember finals that actually were worth watching. And honestly, I had another point to make. I'm kind of blanking on it. Yeah, okay, I'll predict this instead. If you want me to really predict something, I'll predict this instead. I'll predict that this final will be much more entertaining than the Champions League final. That much I can give you
Oh,
because
we'll have to discuss about that later.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get to
we'll
that
discuss it
also.
now only. Like we okay, fine,
Yeah,
we'll
as in
discuss
like
it when we
after
talk
this
about the Champions
conversation.
League final.
After this
Yeah,
conversation.
okay,
No, after
yeah,
this conversation, we'll cover the games and then the Champions League final.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we'll do that then. Like we'll do the face off then. That okay, so fine,
Hmm.
okay. I'll give you this much that I on paper United should win. United are the better
Hmm.
squad. They are more deep,
For sure.
obviously, and especially with this super long season, the deeper squads should have a much better advantage. And Villarreal, like United, are in a very secure position in the league, and Villarreal are not really because they aren't in the top four. They're not too far from it, but they're still competing for the European places because the La Liga table overall is pretty packed. And let's see how this one goes, and let's see how things shape up in the next week, 2 weeks, because the final is around 2 weeks away. And let's talk about the bigger games according to most people, which will be the Champions League final. We talked about the more
Yeah.
exciting games already, even though like the semi-finals weren't no any the Champions League semi-finals weren't a joke, but I think the Europa League's Europa League has a tinge of fun to it, which the Champions League is a bit more serious. Like everybody cares
Yeah.
a bit more about. Europa League
I
is
think the
taking the fuck
stakes
out of
are
it and
higher in
enjoying.
that.
Yes, the stakes are higher.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is
Hmm.
why Europa League is more fun to watch because the football is better. So
Okay.
okay, let's talk about Chelsea versus Real Madrid. I was very
Hmm.
surprised by this game. I did not expect this.
Were
Honestly, I did
you?
not. I
I.
did not
I'm.
expect this. I did not expect Real Madrid to fold. That's why.
Yeah.
I thought
Okay.
Real
That.
Madrid didn't give it a fight. Chelsea
I
ruined them,
think.
and yeah, go ahead. Or do
Yeah.
you want me to
So
complete my thought process and
you
then I'll
complete your thought process first, and then
yeah.
I'll speak about that.
So okay, I'll give you. I don't have much to say honestly in terms of like we'll discuss the game, but like from what I expected is like Real Madrid are a vastly experienced team. They have an ability to grind out results. Like they remind me of Ferguson's United sometimes. Like the
Hmm.
manager is experienced. He knows situations. He's not been in the job the longest as a manager. Like it's been like 6 7 years that he's been managing at the top level, and but he's learned so much from his Real Madrid experiences that you always think that they always have an ace up their sleeve because that's just how this team has performed over the past few years. Like Kareem Benzema is always an ace up the sleeve. Like you always throw that card and something or the other turns up, especially this season. And this game, Real Madrid didn't really look like they had anything up their sleeve. Like Real Madrid were basically bowing down and they were like, "Please forgive us, let us go." And Chelsea were like the young 20-year-olds of Chelsea were like, "Yeah, okay, get the fuck out. Like we got you, and like you can leave." And like they ran them ragged. Like and Golo Kante, like I think he would be in their dreams and their pockets, like every like kind of like some sort of Harry Potter thing. Like every time Modric or Cruz puts their
Oh,
hand
you
in their
can't
pocket,
say
and there'll be a
Cruz. You
card with
can't
N'Golo
say
Kante,
Cruz.
and Kante is right in front of them, like scaring the
No,
shit out of
no,
them in
no.
a grocery store or something like that. Like he'll be
No, Tony
smiling that
Cruz
smile,
went
and
on to.
the most
Yeah.
uncharming and awkward smile in the world. And Golo will be there, and he's like, "I'm still here, bitch."
I
Like
mean,
it was,
apart from everything you said, I think the Tony Cruz thing is it's true because he doesn't lose sleep over players. I think he said that in the interview also. He doesn't lose
yeah.
sleep,
He,
but
he
I'm
he
pretty
said it
sure
on
Kante
Twitter
gave him
also.
nightmares.
Talking about
I'm
Mount.
pretty sure Kante gave him nightmares. I don't care what he says. He might. I rate him very highly. He's an
Well, he's
excellent
won four
midfielder.
Champions League. I don't believe he's won four
It's not
Champions League and a
about
World
just
Cup.
for Champions League also. It's his individual performance and everything. How his passing is out of this world. I think
Dude, the
it's
man is
quite
like 33
underrated.
years old. He shouldn't give a fuck about any of these things. Like honestly, I don't.
Exactly.
I believe Tony Cruz. I believe Tony
Mm.
Cruz when he says I sleep very soundly because he's his career is defined. He's defined his legacy. He's defined his legacy as one of the best players in the past 15 years. Luka
Mm.
Modric has done the same, and Luka Modric has done it on a level a bit above Tony, in my opinion, because Luka Modric was the linchpin for that Croatia side that went to a World Cup final. That team was not supposed to be in a World Cup final, according to any expert, but
That's
they
true.
did it. And that is why I think I honestly don't think Real Madrid should be ashamed of it because the the situation that they were in, there was nobody available. Like they were so injury prone. Hazard has barely done anything this season. There is no
All
Varane. Danny
asking
Carvajal is out.
yeah.
They have had a terrible season and they made so much out of it. It is honestly very impressive what Real Madrid have done this season. This is one of their better seasons, especially from a management perspective. What Zidane has done this season, it has been exceptional, brilliant, amazing,
Oh
and
yeah. Considering the injuries and everything, I completely agree
everything
there.
that has
But
happened in this season, and especially with the ESL nonsense that has been going on. Well,
they
like
still
the
have a
Spanish
chance to
fans
win
haven't
the
turned
league.
as much as the English ones, but yeah,
Yeah. They still
it's
have an English league. They still have the league. What do you say? Title on the line.
they still
They
have
can
to
still
fight for
go
the
for
league
it.
title. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
They still
fighting
have a lot
everywhere.
to fight for.
This team is brilliant, regardless of, and they're old. They're old as fuck. These guys, like most of those guys, are not in the prime of their lives, and still they're producing results and they're grinding things out and they're doing so well. It is like hats off to Real Madrid. This team, like I couldn't care about the overarching hierarchy and structure of the club, but just the manager and the players, like the
Yeah.
thing, people who actually matter for the club, for me, they have done a fantastic job, and all the credit in the world to them. Let's talk a bit about the game now. Okay, so give me your thoughts. Tell me what you thought.
Okay, so I think the first game where Chelsea deserved to win, but they missed their chances. I think
Yeah,
initially I thought they drew them because I think
yeah.
as Zidane's experience and even Thomas Tuchel is at an experience level and anything, but I think Zidane learns from his mistakes better. So I think he would have like for sure dealt with N'Golo Kante in the second
Hmm.
leg, but
He's
I don't think
pragmatic,
that would.
so yeah, you would
Yeah,
expect that. Yeah.
I don't think that happened in the second leg. They didn't deal with N'Golo Kante again. They were dominated in the midfield again. They couldn't
Hmm.
break through the defense. And I mean, you can't expect Karim Benzema to be everywhere and anything. I think
Hmm.
they were playing pretty well in the first half. They were building up some good plays and everything. But I
Hmm.
think Chelsea countered, and I think Chelsea got that right. They had what do you say, an away goal. They knew what they
Hmm.
had to. I think they had an away goal, right?
Yes, they did. It was 1-1 in the
Yeah,
first
but
half.
I think they even if they had gotten a draw, they would have gone through. So I think
Hmm.
Thomas Tuchel tried to make them sit back as long as possible and break
Hmm.
on the counter because he has the likes of Werner, Pulisic he had later on, Mount, Havertz. These are all young runners, and like their
Hmm.
defense isn't exactly the fastest we are murdered. So I think they
Hmm.
countered, and I think N'Golo Kante played a very good part there.
I thought,
Werner had a
like,
good game.
hmm.
Werner
I
had a
I
good game.
personally thought it wasn't about counter attacking per se. I think it was about switching the play. Like what's the most impressive thing that these guys did? They stretched the Real Madrid defense. Like, because it's not like Chelsea didn't, like, they didn't have a lot of possession, but they did have possession. And the most impressive
Yeah.
part about their position that has always been, I think I've talked to you about this before also, when the ball moves from defense into midfield, it becomes much quicker. Like, the passing
Mm.
becomes quicker. The spots that they're trying to pass into become more precise because they know where the players are supposed to be. It is a well coached team. And that is the most impressive thing about it, because Tuchel understood where he could create space. And like, look at Chilwell in this whole game. Chilwell was in so much space all the time because Mount was moving away. Like, they were able to overload the sides. N'Golo Kante went into midfield on the right. Jorginho was the one who stood back because Chilwell is the one who's going to push from the other side. Aspilicueta is not. Aspilicueta is there, but Aspilicueta is there for crossing, and crossing is your secondary option to score. Like, that's not the
Mm.
you what you want to rely on. Chilwell was able to overload from that side, and that is how they were creating spaces because Ramos was ragged out. Nacho was dropping in much towards the left because Ferland Mendy used to try and push up, and Chelsea stretched the backline so much because the midfield could not handle was not in a physical position to be able to handle so much workload. So Jorginho and Kante, just two of them were able to handle the complete midfield, and
Yeah.
they stretched Real Madrid so thin, and they created so Chelsea should have scored at least 4 goals in this game easily.
Oh
They should
yeah,
have
I
scored
think Kai
four.
Havertz had a lot of missed chances. I think, but luckily,
Havertz missed a lot. Mount missed a couple. Kante missed one or two. Like, they had so many chances. Werner
yeah, I
missed
think
another one, but they should have definitely. They killed the tie, and they did really well in killing the tie because they exploited the exact weaknesses that Real Madrid had, which was their lack of mobility in midfield and the fact that their defense has to really stretch the backline. Anything else you want to talk about in this game? And like, very impressive
no,
Chelsea
I
team,
think
very
you've
very impressive.
covered pretty much everything. I think hats off to Chelsea for winning the tie. They deserved
Yeah.
it. They could have had more goals, but fair enough, it got them through at the end. So I think
Well,
that's
yeah, I
fine.
think they. And honestly, I really like this Chelsea team. I really like how they play and how they approach the game. These are bunch of likable players and a likable manager
Yeah,
in this
I
team.
agree with you there.
Yeah.
I kind of
Like,
like the
I'm
players too. I
quite
think
glad
I
they're
have a
in the
pick
final,
for
honestly. I really
Mason
enjoyed
Mount,
it.
Kante. Yeah, fair enough. Let's move
Yeah.
on to the other game,
Yeah,
the
let's
Man
talk
City
about the.
PSG game.
Okay, what side on this game do you rely on? Like, do you think that Man City destroyed PSG, or do you think PSG were pretty good? Like, okay, give me your shot on this game, because this is
I
a
think
fascinating game to discuss.
PSG collapsed on themselves. I think that's one point.
In the second half, yes, like that was obvious. Yeah, go
In
ahead.
the
Like,
second half,
give
yes.
me your whole thoughts. Like, give me everything you got.
So I think initially PSG got off on the front foot and they were attacking
Hmm.
in the first 5 to 10 minutes and they were doing pretty well. I think
Hmm.
that's what they were supposed to do. But
Yeah.
like then Man City saw that saw that option and see that ball from Edison. I just have to acknowledge that ball. The first move
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just crossed the long ball that Edison played. Amazing.
Hmm.
His distribution play is absolutely phenomenal. I think I wrote
Hmm.
this in my article also. And I think they scored
Yeah.
and then
A bit over
Yamal
exaggerated in my opinion, but yeah, you're not wrong. He is an
oh
excellent distributor of the ball. Yeah.
yeah, it was a great ball nonetheless, as it even
Oh yeah,
contributed
and
to
he's
the
done it
goal.
before. Yeah, we it's not the first
Oh
time
yeah,
we've
he's
seen
done
something
this
like this.
quite a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think so. That was great. And then I think PSG didn't have that. I think the finishing touch that they needed. They
Hmm.
were around the box of Manchester City a lot, but like
Yeah.
hats off to the defense. I think I'm not even just going to credit Ruben Diaz. He's been brilliant this season. But I think
Hmm.
overall, Zinchenko,
Yes.
Stones, even Walker, all four of the
Yes.
defenders put up a great performance. And I think in the first leg also, this was quite undermined. Everything was just given to Ruben Diaz. He's the best defender in the world, and they just completely forgot the other
Is
performances
he the
put up
best
by the
defender
back.
in the world? Are we going to call him that all of a sudden just because of one
Right
season?
now, in form.
I would give it to Marquinhos if you ask me. If you ask me the best defender in the world, I'm giving the award straight to Marquinhos. No way am I going to give it to Ruben Diaz. Like, Ruben Diaz, I'm not doubting his abilities, honestly. I just think that you need a longer stretch to call yourself the best defender in the world. That's
I
all.
think
That's
I
all.
like.
It's a
I mean, I'm
technicality
not
on which I'm
all.
giving it to Marquinhos technically.
Oh, I mean, I understand that for sure. What I meant is like he's one of the best
He is
defenders
one
in
of
the
the
world
best.
right
Yes,
now.
he, like,
Right now,
especially in form wise, like, he's the most informed
exactly.
defender in the world. That's what I would call
Yeah,
him. Yes.
the most informed defender in the world
Hmm.
right now. So I think
Yeah.
the defense did a pretty good job there. I think City were, I think, comfortable after that. They got their first goal. I don't
Hmm.
think they were panicking at any stage apart from that one pass where Di Maria missed an open goal. And
Hmm.
when I say they lacked the finishing touch and they missed Mbappe, they had zero shots on target. Keep this in
Yeah.
mind. Throughout the game, they had zero shots on target. They
Yeah,
never,
because the four
never.
fuckers blocked everything. They
Yeah,
blocked
that's there.
everything. They literally blocked everything. Like I'm not even. It's not
Exactly.
even a
So this
joke
comes
because they
to the
have
Man
zero shots on
City.
target.
Yeah, like all the free kicks and everything, they were over the bar and
Everything.
everything. Everything.
They blocked
There was,
everything. It's unbelievable.
yeah, dude. And like, I think Phil Foden had an exceptional game. He was unlucky to not get the goal. He hit the post twice, I think so.
Yeah.
And like, he put up a great performance. I think the
Yeah.
management team that tweeted Kylian Mbappe, are you ready? I think that actually worked out because he wasn't, and Phil Foden showed him he was not. He was injured
Well,
and
he didn't
everything,
even
but
get
yeah, but
introduced. Like Pochettino couldn't even bring himself to do it. I think he had accepted his loss by then. It felt
I
like
think I read somewhere. I think what do you say? He was injured. He was kept
he
on
was
as a
injured.
backup.
Yes.
He was kept on as a backup. Like if you need him for 20 minutes, he'll do that. But I don't think PSG were in the time the last 20 minutes, and there was no
They have
point.
a League One race
They
to
have a
fight,
league
anyways.
title to race fight anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the referee. I think here's one problem. I think maybe Fernandinho he had a lot of tackles and he was lucky to not get carded, at least yellow. Maybe because he didn't as argue as much as the other PSG players like Ander
No, because
Herrera.
he's a genius. That's why he's a genius. I'll get to him. I have a lot of thoughts. I'll give you everything in a row. Go ahead.
I think he shook his hand and maybe he didn't wasn't fighting for it or anything. So I think he got away with that, and that was a
Yeah,
lucky
that's part
thing.
of it. But yeah, yeah.
And the Di Maria red card. Why? I just have one question. Why? Do you not know that there are cameras everywhere? The ball is out of play. That was a straight red. It was absolutely foolish. I mean, for a player at his, what do you say, his experience, the amount of experience he has as a player in his
Hmm.
career, be it
Hmm.
Manchester, not Manchester United, Real
Hmm.
Madrid,
Hmm.
PSG, wherever. He's been a brilliant player. He was amazing in the first leg, and in the second leg,
Hmm.
he kind of let his team down. I mean, they weren't exactly in the tie then, but after that, there was no chance of them
There
coming
was no
back.
fucking way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They've had two red cards in these two fixtures, and that tells you all
Yeah.
about PSG. Okay. I'll start with the red card now that you've brought up that subject. That red card, like Di Maria has an attitude problem sometimes. And like for a United fan, like I felt really bad about what happened to him at United, the burglary and everything. But Di Maria is actually one of the very few players in world football that I hate when he's at his peak dickish. I hate him. And I was kind of like low key, I was very satisfied when that happened to him because I was like,
See,
you fucking bastard. You were at Old Trafford and you were fucking drinking water and taunting the shit out of us when it's not the fans' fucking fault, man. Like it's fair. Like you can be pissed about your situation. That's fine. I wanted to. I was willing to forgive him, but when he did that, I was like, dude. Whenever shit happens to you, I'm going to feel really happy about it. And just from the vibes perspective, I hope you feel those fucking vibes, you asshole. And I'm very satisfied when he kicked out. And and the best part about it was he did it to Fernandinho. Fernandinho mentally, he's on another level. He plays mentally on another level, especially
oh yeah,
the his like the fouls that he's doing. There is so little effort involved in those fouls, and he does that so much on purpose that if you look at the
he
individual
breaks up the
foul,
play.
he
I
breaks up
think
the play, and that is obvious because a lot of players do it. He's not the only one who does it, but he does it in such a giveaway way that the referee is looking at it half the time and he's like, that's such a pathetic foul. I don't want to card him on that. And then he's got his interaction with the referee. Then he's like,
yeah,
whenever
he's
the fight
sweet.
broke
He's
out,
like,
remember when Zinchenko
sorry.
lost it? Fernandinho was screaming at Zinchenko to shut the fuck up, to calm the fuck
Yeah,
down. Fernandinho is
I
such
saw
a
that.
like he's so stealthy and he's his awareness in this part is so brilliant that you cannot deny there is a certain amount of genius that is required to be that good. He's 36 years old now and he has got an innate ability to put himself in exactly the right spot. And this is the biggest occasion where he could have done it for Manchester City. and he came through once again. And I used to hate Fernandinho, hate him because he never got carded. And I've watched him more and more, and I realize I cannot hate a man who's a genius on such a level. I cannot hate him anymore. And I love everything about it. Like you can see it with my smile. Like I love everything that
Hmm.
he does in that regard. I hate that I love him, but I really, really love him. And you brought up another thing I wanted to talk about. Dude, that backline. That backline is like Pep has figured it out, hasn't he? He's figured out
Oh
how to
yeah,
be the best. Like he's made that footballing juggernaut that you cannot beat. Like even if you attack them, they'll block everything, not even save, block everything. They were
I
defensively
saw that
stocky. They were
one save where I
sturdy,
think
and
Neymar, I think there was a one save where Zinchenko and John Stones both pulled off the same leg. They were like completely in sync. And like if it
yeah,
passed Zinchenko, it would have hit John Stones' leg. Like they were completely like this. And oh my god, that was just mesmerizing. It looked like a glitch in the Matrix, dude. How both of them just dove in front of the line. And my god, they were
fantastic,
ready to give it like
fantastic.
fantastic, dude. You have to
They
give
figured
credit
it
to.
out, man. He's figured
Oh
it
yeah,
out. He's made the perfect footballing machine. He's not too far from it.
I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but I think this is for a while at least. This is the first team that's actually have a chance at winning the Champions League without an actual striker in the lineup.
Well, I
He
think
ran a performance
technically
nice on
yes,
the.
because the Messi Champions League, Barcelona Champions League teams did employ strikers, but the strikers didn't play in that position. So, like in 2009, at least 2011, I'm pretty sure that David Villa was there at the club. I'm not 100% sure on it, so don't kill
He
me on this
was,
one.
I think so.
I think he was. So he was definitely. I don't know about 2009. It's far back. I don't know
Hmm.
why you would expect me to remember. I'm not an expert, so I'm just a guy who podcasts about it. So
Hmm.
I think like they didn't technically. I think that's the only team that I can think of that did not employ a natural striker because is there any other team that actually played that way like over the years? I don't really
Exactly. This
can't
is
think of
the
any.
best part where Pep, I mean, all of us are like, I mean, I repeatedly said that Man City need that striker to get them out of a few games and everything.
Yeah,
They need that.
I,
They
I
need
still
that.
agree with you, and I think they should
I
look at
agree
it
with it.
next year.
I
Yeah,
agree with it. But if they win the Champions League and they've
it is
already won the Premier
yeah.
League,
You're right.
it is
Yes.
like quite an achievement, and it's not. It won't be then their priority. Like, okay, then we don't exactly need a striker. Striker, we can do it
Hmm.
with a false nine.
What
We can
other
play
positions
Kevin
do
De
you think they
Bruyne.
need filling in? Let's go there then. Let's discuss that.
Oh, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
apart
Shal came up
like
with Samuel Eto'o and Henry. Henry is not a typical striker. I wouldn't call him that. He didn't play that way at all. And even Eto'o when he was playing, he wasn't really playing off. Well, why am I supposed to remember all the Barcelona teams and their finals? Like it's not whatever. I'm not going to pay for it.
anyways, so I think the only what do you say position apart. I mean, Zinchenko had a
Hmm.
great game, yeah, on like
Hmm.
against PSG, but I still think
Yeah.
they could do better with a left back. He's much better of a passer than a defender. I think
Yeah.
he could be better in the midfield. I mean, as much as
Hmm.
I've seen him, his passing has been extraordinary, I think, and fair play for that. And like that's quite an essential part.
Hmm.
But like to even make the like upgrade the juggernaut, as you said,
Hmm.
I think they need a strong left back, maybe better, someone better than Mendy, and I think that's the only position. I mean, they can do without it for sure. If they win the Champions League, that you can't
Hmm.
point at one position and be like they need improvement there. They actually
Hmm.
don't. But like, if they want to improve somewhere, like if they
Hmm.
want to like plus one, like if they want to win the league again with 100 points, I think they
Hmm.
need to sign a better left back slightly. I think even Cancelo
Maybe, yeah,
plays
yeah.
better
I
on
think,
the
yeah,
right.
that is one position that you could really like. They've needed that for a long, long time. They made do
Yeah,
without
I
it.
think
So, okay,
Benjamin Mendy was injured for a quite long time
I'm
also.
going
Yeah. What
to
about you?
discuss this game. I think we and I want to talk about one more thing like this that Shal was talking about, right? He's saying like Eto started as a center forward, and he's kind of low key pissed about it. He's writing goddamn on around, and I don't see why you are blaming me or you for not remembering. Like dude, that's like me going around and asking you who was the starting center forward for the Arrigo Sacchi AC Milan teams. Can you answer that question? Shalv and Kshitij, you're in the comments. Give me the answer to that question. Give me the answer. And you should
I
know.
don't think
Honestly, you should know.
I don't
Who
think
was the
Charles
star
was
striker for
born
that team?
during that. I don't think
Yeah,
Charles
I
was
don't
born
care.
at
Like
that time.
I don't remember watching that final live anyways. So. No,
Oh yeah,
I'm
I
just
don't think I
I'm
used
trying
to
to prove
watch
a
that
point
one.
here. That is why I just need an answer from you guys. I'm not trying to blame you or anything. I'm not trying to give you shit for it. I'm just like this is my football Twitter tirade that I want to go back on. Like really don't like this. I didn't remember Samuel Eto'o was the striker. Most people don't know Marco van Basten was the striker who was a huge part of the AC Milan teams of the 90s. And so okay, we
Let's
don't
move
have all
on.
the information around us. Okay, like you would know a lot more about the Arsenal teams that played in the last 10 years than I do, and that's fair. And Shalva, I'm not trying to give you shit, man. I'm just using your what happened right now as an example. That's all. Don't take this personally or don't take. But people in football Twitter and people in football have a problem in this sense that like they try to demean you for not knowing things, and that is ridiculous. You are not one of those guys, Ayush, because when you don't know anything about football and I'm talking, like you ask me questions about it because you want to know more, and that's the attitude you're
Oh
supposed to
yeah.
have, to try and learn more rather than to try and give people shit for not knowing. I did not remember Samuel Eto'o was in that team. I should have known, maybe. Fair enough.
Mm.
But yeah, people should not be giving me shit for not knowing that. Like, my football knowledge is limited. I am not some sort of master of the universe pretender here. I know what I know, and I know what I know because I've researched those things and I learned about those things. Like
To be
Barcelona
fair,
was the
the
team.
final was like 11 years ago. I think even if you did watch
Yeah,
football,
12
it's
years
quite
ago
a long
almost.
time
It's
ago.
almost 12
Yeah,
years ago now.
11,
And
12 years ago. So it's fine.
yeah,
Like,
this
we can move on from that. I guess it's fine. I guess no one's blaming you.
yeah, no, I don't care if you blame me, but like this idea, this logic behind, right? Like, oh, you don't know shit, ha ha ha, fuck you. That's a very childish way to think, look at things. If you're an adult, if it's yeah, I'm very chill, Shalv. I'm talking exactly I'm talking about exactly what I want to talk about. Okay, and this we have to work on this. Yeah, I got you, Shal. Stop saying that. I understood where you were coming from. Yeah, I'm not having a go at you either. I'm just there is this like this society attitude and this football Twitter attitude, especially that we have nowadays, for trying to give other people grief for not knowing their shit. And that is something that I want to talk about, and I want to try and like at least put my message out. Like, that's not how we should be handling these things. We should try and tell people about, okay, this is not something we knew. Let's try and help people learn about it. It makes people be more curious, and it makes football more enjoyable, right? When we are exchanging information, why else do you think we are doing this? Because we want to exchange information with each other, right? That's our first objective here. Why else do you think we will be doing this? And that is what makes it enjoyable. Like, we talk to each other, we socialize, and we learn more. That's
You're
what
pretty
that's
much my recap for Manchester United games, dude. I barely watched them, and like you explained it pretty well.
same,
Like,
exactly the same. I did not watch the Arsenal game. You told me what I needed to know about it. Like, I didn't even watch the Ederson goal. I missed the first half of the Man City game. But yeah, you helped me recap a lot, and that's how I learn. Because yeah, people tell me their opinions, and then I can listen to more opinions, and then I can try and form my own opinion. That's what it's about. It's about helping each other learn and helping each other grow. That is what the objective, what we are doing is. That is what the objective was of us, me and you writing is. We write, people tell us what we get right and what we get wrong. They tell us what they think, and then for the next one we learn. That is what why we are doing all this. That is why we love this sport, because we want to know more about this sport. And that's all I really would just wanted to say. Like
okay, so I think that
yeah,
was quite a lot of covering on Manchester United and
yeah,
the what do you say PSG game. Moving
yeah.
on to the final prediction, where you said I think a while ago
Yes,
that it won't be
this
as
one I'm
interesting as the
excited about
Europa
too.
League final. Now this is where I
Yes.
want to speak to you about it. The
Okay, first
previous
predict the final for me. First predict the
no,
final
no,
for me. Let's see how
I'll
it
just
goes.
explain the thread and then I'll reach to the prediction. I just want to explain a few
Go
things,
ahead.
like
Okay,
my
fine. Go ahead.
opinion,
Go
my
ahead.
opinion. So first of
Yeah, yeah.
all, Manchester City versus Chelsea takes place three times during this whole month,
Hmm.
or like 1.5 month. First was the FA Cup
Twice,
semi-final.
right?
No,
I think
no,
FA
it's
Cup was
taken
last
place
month
once.
though.
Yeah,
Okay,
last month.
over a period of 2 months also, it's quite a lot. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, three games over the
Three
last
times in
two.
2 months. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So FA Cup semi-finals where Man City
Hmm.
got absolutely battered and beaten at their own game by Chelsea. They dominated
Hmm.
the game. So I think there's some
Yeah.
what do you say, grief or something, that some revenge is there. Ki no, the FA Cup
Hmm.
semi-final, they stole our quadruple. Okay, I mean for
Hmm.
Manchester City, quadruple is a big thing. It's not like if we don't get a quadruple, we get the treble.
Well, for
They,
anybody, a quadruple is a big thing, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. But like they've been doing it and everything. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, fair. You're right. You're right. You're
yeah.
right.
So I think the next game is tomorrow night for me at least 10 p.m. I don't know
Hmm.
what time it's for you guys.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be a crucial game if both of them play
Yeah, it
their
will
first
be. You're
final.
right. You're right. You're right. It will be an
It's
excellent
going
game
to
to
give
watch.
us. It's like having a preview of the Champions League final.
Yeah, yeah. And the
We're going
funniest
to
thing
see
about
what
it
we're
will
going to
be
get. Like,
not
tomorrow's
even the
going to be a
preview
good game.
thing.
I hope so. I
Like,
really
just give
hope
me.
so.
I want one point. I want to put in one point. Like, it won't be just like a crucial game, like for a preview. Like, it'll be what cards will those two guys reveal. That is what's going to be exciting
Exactly.
about it.
Are
Like,
they
it'll
going to
be
play
a
their
different
first
game to
line?
the final, which will make it more exciting. Yeah.
Man City could even not even play their first line. Like they don't mind losing the league next
I
week.
would love it. I would honestly love it because that would be Guardiola. Like, I am not giving you shit. No
I'm
way
not
am I
telling you
telling you
what I'm
what's
going
going to
to do.
happen.
Yeah, I think
All
Guardiola
his
is not
card.
going to
Oh,
like
that would be
completely
awesome.
set off, but yeah, he's going to like maybe get a draw or something. I think the defense will do his work, but I
I
don't think
don't
he'll
think they
reveal
should
his
give a fuck
attacking work.
about that fixture at all. They should be like, yeah, let's send the under 23s. Who cares?
It's beneath them.
We'll.
I'm not going to lie. It's actually beneath them. They don't have. Chelsea have something to fight for. They still have to make top four. Because even if they reach the final of the Champions League and they don't manage to, what do you say, hold on to their top four spot, they're
They're
screwed. They're
not in the
playing Europa.
Champions League next season.
Exactly. So they
Yeah.
need to fight for the top four spot. Chelsea will reveal
Yeah.
their cards tomorrow. I don't see any
Yeah.
other way about Chelsea.
Chelsea have to win. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Chelsea
why
have
they
to
will
win.
reveal their cards. Yes.
Man City can sit off. They don't mind losing another game. For them, Champions League final is much more important. And that's
Yeah.
one interesting area that
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
Man City might just Pep might just pull a masterclass. Okay, go and attack us, get the goal. We let you get top three or top four. We want to see you in the Champions League next season so that we can beat you again.
Hmm.
And I think he can pull off that. I think. And I can see that happening. I can for
Ah,
sure
no,
see
yeah,
that
you're
happening.
right. Yeah. Well, this is going to be like okay, okay. Let's talk about the final itself now. We've talked about the
Yeah,
weekend
now
fixtures.
I'll predict for the final. I see
Yeah.
in no way. Okay, this is another callback. Chelsea that missed chances against Real Madrid. They didn't fluke them,
Hmm.
and I think it's going to bite them in the ass for Man City. I think Timo Werner, even though he's been not, I'm not going to say
Yeah.
apart from his finishing, he's been a great player to the Chelsea squad this season.
Yeah.
He's been integral. He's been helping a lot. But his
Yeah. Yeah.
missed
Yeah.
chances in the final, I think he's
Yeah.
not going to be up. I mean, I don't think he can finish them in the final if he can't finish them in the semis and everything. I think
Hmm.
Man City are going to go ruthless in the final. This is the first
Well,
final of
technically,
Champions
Man
League.
City don't have the best finishers around, do they? Like Phil Foden is an excellent finisher
I
somehow.
think
He just puts the ball
I mean,
in.
yeah, that's fair. But Man City create much more chances than Chelsea, don't they? I
Do
think they
they?
expect
Well, Chelsea
goals. They
created
do.
a lot of chances against Real Madrid, didn't they?
Yeah, but you're talking about Man City right now, the best
Dude, like
defense in the world, currently
I
in
know, I
form.
know, I know, I know you're right. Like, but the funniest thing about it is that we saw a preview of this already, and we saw that FA Cup semi-final, and City were able to beat them. So we don't know. Like that's why I'm so excited and happy about it because it's not an easy final to predict. It's an all
It's
English
not.
final.
It's
I
not.
don't like that
Obviously,
personally, but it's
I do.
it's
I
an
do. I
exciting
absolutely
final.
love it. I absolutely love it. Being a fan of the
Well,
Premier League, that was the only thing I
two
was
different
looking
set of
for.
fans would have been a lot more fun, especially because fans will be back. Let's talk about this a bit. Like the final might not be taking it place in Istanbul because they want 8,000 fans in that stadium or like 12,000 I think they want, but like
9 to 12. Yeah.
4,000 fans are being given tickets from Chelsea and Man City, but it doesn't really make sense if you don't have a lot of fans in the stadium and if you cannot get a lot of tourism out of it, then maybe give Istanbul the next final. I think a lot of people have already suggested that, like give them the final for next year and let this
Oh,
final be hosted in a place where it's much easier for people to get travel to,
that's
basically
fair.
to keep the
I haven't
final.
heard
Like I'm
about
not a
this,
fan
but
of
yeah.
keeping it in England, but I think for Istanbul's sake and for the sake of a brilliant final that could take place there, because it's a vibrant stadium and it's an excellent city and it will be an exciting final
Yeah.
next year when everybody, like the whole, it will be the biggest fucking event, and this one won't be the same. So maybe it's not a terrible idea to switch venues. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I wasn't
Let's
aware of
discuss
this,
this.
but
Finish this final talk.
yeah,
Like,
but I still
okay, who do
think.
you think is winning then? Okay, give me a.
Oh, I have my best placed on Manchester City. Both of them don't have the best finishing, but I think Man City
Hmm.
just slightly might be better in that area.
Oh,
As
okay.
an overall team, I mean, there's
Yeah.
form one place, and then they've won the league. They've proven themselves a lot, apart from
Huh.
a few blips. I think
Hmm.
they might just be this better team in the game, and they might win. I'll have my bets on Manchester City 3 and Chelsea 1. What about you?
Ah, okay. Scoreline prediction is very,
Oh,
very
my
hard. Like,
scoreline is going to be most probably wrong because I don't think Chelsea are going to concede 3 goals. But
yeah, like you
if
gave
it
it
is
like
their day,
I think it's a
if
shot in the dark whenever you put a scoreline prediction. Honestly, like you might be right, you might be wrong, but it's impossible to
yeah,
tell
I
if you
think
don't
at
actually
least
watch
my
the games.
prediction that I stand with for like sure, I think Manchester City win
Yeah,
the Champions League.
yeah. Fair enough,
What
fair
about
enough.
you?
Like I don't have the balls to go for score predictions in general. I'll do it because you did it. I'll go with. I think it'll be 2-1 to Chelsea in extra time. I'm going a bit spicy with this. Let's
Extra
see this
time.
one happen. Extra time. I want extra
I
time now.
think that's one place where I just have one question. Don't you
Go
think
ahead.
Man
Go
City
ahead.
have
Go ahead.
more depth to if the game reaches an extra time? I don't think Man you can beat Man City in that region because
Well,
like it,
honestly, I think this Chelsea's as a club have seen more finals. That's an important part of this. Man City, this is the first time they're going to be seeing anything like this, and there will be nerves. Like most of these guys have not played in Champions League finals. Who has? Like, give me one guy in this team who has actually played a Champions League final.
I mean,
None
you
of
could
them have.
almost say the same
Not
thing for
even
the
Aguero
Chelsea squad
has.
also, right? You could
No, but
also
Chelsea,
almost
at
say
least
the same.
Chelsea have a manager who's played in a okay. Well, management is a wrong. Like that's a completely wrong one
The
because
Pep
Recruitment is
Guardiola
on the
has
other
played in a
side.
final. Good man,
Yeah,
good
no,
man,
fair,
good
fair,
man,
fair.
good
But
man.
like, okay, fine, you're right about that. But as a club, I think even that matters a bit. When your club has been in those situations, like the people behind the scenes, at least they can talk about how their experiences were, and especially with, well, honestly, yeah. When I really think about it, I
It's
think
not exactly
okay,
the
okay.
same
It's not
squad,
about
is
the
it?
players. It's about the pressure, maybe. Like, let's talk about the pressure. The pressure that will be on Man City playing their first ever Champions League final will be a bit more than what it's going to be for Chelsea. Am I wrong or am I right about that?
I guess that's right. And like, if you look at the squad and everything, I think Manchester City also have the pressure that
Yeah,
they're
I agree
expected
with
to
you.
win,
I
and
agree with you
Chelsea are
that this
the
Man City
underdogs in
team.
the game.
I just called them a cheat code like 10 minutes ago, man. Like,
Yeah,
I agree with you there, but it's a Champions League final, and Champions League finals are based like quite a lot of times. The variables that actually start mattering in a final are very different to that to a normal football game. That is why, like, I have a gut feeling about it. I can't really explain myself, and any explanation I will give will sound a bit
oh yeah,
hollow.
I mean,
But
dude, I'm not
I
gonna
have I
lie.
have a
I
gut feeling
think
that Chelsea might actually edge this one.
that I mean you can't really explain a gut feeling, and I back that. I mean, if you feel that way,
Okay,
of course, like
I'll give you
any
exactly where my
logic
gut
against
feeling
it
comes
would.
from. It comes from, again, I'll go to basketball because like in basketball there's a very obvious like there.
I think your voice is lagging for me. Hello.
Yeah, my internet went down for a bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I was talking about the NBA, right? And how I'm relating this to the NBA because, like, whenever a team qualifies for the playoffs for the first time in many years with a new group of players, right? They have to learn how to play in the playoffs because the playoffs are very different from a normal regular season game. Like the defensive structures change, scoring becomes harder. There is much more energy in the players, and they'll push themselves a lot more because the stakes are higher, and that is why you need to blood yourself and you need to have experiences in the playoffs before you can actually go and win a championship. Like the best players in the world right now, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, are facing these problems because their squad around them and they themselves have not been blooded completely to learn how to win a championship because there's a learning curve there. And I think because this is Man City's first Champions League final, even though Pep has the experience and he knows how to win these kinds of games, and his record in finals is excellent, but I still think that there is a
That's
chance that they
also
would
one
that
key factor that I have.
yeah,
That his
yeah, but
record
that
in
concept
finals.
might just come into play as well, and that is why I have a feeling that they might not be able to manage it. And because
I
this
think, and the
Chelsea have
only
actually won all their finals like this, like all the Champions League finals that they have even been a part of. The 2012 Champions League final, Roberto Di Matteo just came out of nowhere and took them there. 2008 when they faced Manchester United, again it was Avram Grant who came in after Mourinho left, and suddenly they find themselves in the Champions League final. And I don't know, maybe history will repeat itself positively again in Chelsea's favor. That's what I'm going for, because I was very impressed with what Chelsea did against Real Madrid, and they have a
I just
semi-final win.
yeah.
So maybe like that's
Hmm.
I have it's not really a prediction set in stone. Like you can crucify me on it if you want, but I
I
couldn't
just
really
think,
care too less if it's
oh yeah,
Man City who win. Yeah.
see, I agree. I think we'll just end on this one point that I just want to finish off with. The one
Oh,
point
go ahead,
is
go ahead, go ahead.
how good, however good Tuchel has been for Chelsea this season, or however
Hmm.
the Messiah he's been for the Blues there, and whatever he's done with
Hmm.
PSG. At the end of the day, I just think Guardiola breathes football tactics every second of his life, and he's thinking about it right now. He'll be thinking about it
Hmm.
2 a.m. and calling his players and telling him what to be prepared for,
Hmm. Hmm.
what to do. And I think if this was the semi-final, or if this was the round of 16 or the quarter-final, it would have been a
Hmm.
completely different case. I've
Okay.
seen Pep Guardiola overthink or something, or I think he's some errors or something have been made. But in the final, I think his tactics would be top notch. He'll control every minute of
And
how
I
Man
think he
City
learned from his
play.
semi-final mistakes also. So I think that's a
Exactly.
point again in your favor, because he wouldn't try and overthink this one, because like he'll be like, yeah, we
But
know what works and we
he
know
will be a
what structures we have
perfectionist of
to.
this.
No, he'll have a couple
He
of
will
things up his
for
sleeve,
sure.
obviously, but like he won't
Yeah.
like go for something completely random or completely different. Like he knows
Oh yeah.
what works, and he's got a
We
handle
aren't going
on
to see a two striker formation or something completely out of the blue. But yeah,
yeah.
I think Manchester City might just win this.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah. But like another thing I wanted to point out here, when you said that it's not a semi-final and stuff, Pep Guardiola has not been in a Champions League final for 10 years. So that is another important point to keep track of. Like it might not mean anything, but yeah, like we still have to remember that
I
only.
mean,
He hasn't actually
yeah,
been in a Champions League final for 10 years.
I guess you know what I think for
Hmm.
Chelsea revealed their cards in the FA Cup semi-final. They didn't know they were going to face Man City in the Champions League final, but they
Yeah,
revealed a bit of their cards in the FA Cup semi-final. And Guardiola
maybe.
is not going to undermine them by any chance. And I think that's one advantage. Like, if you lose that
Maybe.
match, the semi-final,
Hmm.
you get to learn from it. And Pep
Hmm.
Guardiola is not an egotistical man. He's not going to be like, oh, how did they beat us? He's going to
I think he's
evaluate what
extremely
went wrong for
egotistical. That's
Manchester
what makes him
City.
that good.
Exactly.
He has
So I
extreme
think
confidence in himself. That's kind of his whole stick, isn't it? Like he's extremely
I
confident in
mean, he has
himself.
confidence, but is he egotistical?
Like like I think when you play a certain way, and when you like the some of the way when he talks about his footballing philosophy, and even when he talks about Messi, like I'm not saying being egotistical is wrong or anything, dude. That man has
Oh
proven
yeah, for
everything there
sure.
is to prove. So having a bit of an ego and understanding the fact that he understands football in a way that very few others can, and realizing that sometimes, I don't think being egotistical in that way is wrong. If
Oh
he's able
no,
to back
I
anything
mean,
up, why not be egotistical? Because his career will tell you, he's had one of the most
oh
exceptional
for
careers
sure.
that a
I mean,
football
it's
manager
not
could
like
even
about
dream
the
of.
boasting on everything. I think what I was trying to convey
Yeah,
here,
he's
I
not
think
a
I
boastful
misquoted
man.
it.
Yeah, he's not a boastful man, but yeah, he has a bit of
No,
an ego and a arrogance
no,
and
I'm
a bit
saying,
of a prickish attitude. Yeah,
no, I
he
think
can
the
be a
thing what
dick.
I was
He's
trying to
super
convey
smart as
there.
well. Hmm.
Oh yeah, my point what I was trying to convey here was
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they
yeah.
lost to Chelsea. I don't think he
Hmm.
went back there. He's like, I'm going to take revenge against them in the Premier League.
Ah, no, no, no,
He
no, no. Yeah,
evaluated where he went wrong. He
yeah,
evaluated
yeah,
where he
yeah.
went wrong and how to tackle them in the correct way.
Hmm. Ha.
It's
He's
not his
analytical.
ego.
Yes, yes, yes.
He's
Yeah,
analytical,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think
Yes,
that's
yes,
what's
yes.
going to edge Man City over Chelsea. And I think Chelsea
Fair
are going
enough.
to have to reveal their cards tomorrow night also. They want the top
Fair
four. They're
enough.
going to
Yeah.
fight for the game tomorrow. So even
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah. You're
Manchester
you're
City
right.
takes two L's, two losses against Chelsea in 3 games, but they win the
Hmm.
Champions League Champions
Yeah,
League final,
that would mean
it
everything.
doesn't
Yes,
matter.
you're right.
It
It does
doesn't
not
matter. It
matter.
doesn't matter.
Yes.
Even if he get
Oh
if
no,
even if
absolutely.
Manchester City get battered 3-0 tomorrow, and
Hmm.
Chelsea play the most beautiful football no, world have we seen. Man
Hmm.
City are going to win the Champions League final for sure. Then there's no stopping them.
Okay, interesting. Well, interesting way of thinking about it. Might be right also. Like, I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not in agreement with you, obviously, because we've both put our cards down. And but a very fascinating way of thinking about it, man. Like, no doubt about it. I'm very interested in the way you've thought about it, and obviously, I'm very eager to watch the game tomorrow as well as the Champions League final on the 29th. Well, we have a long wait. That's what disappoints me a bit. And well, I think that's
Yeah.
all for today. We've
Yes, I think it's
talked.
been
Okay, what do you have you written anything this week? Tell me a bit about what you've written.
I covered the Man City PSG game. I
Yeah.
wrote a game recap on that, and I also touched upon a slightly off topic conversation here. I touched up
Hmm.
upon how if PSG want to improve as a team, they have to sell Mbappe,
Yeah.
and this
I
was
yeah yeah
quite
yeah. I
an
remember that. Yeah, I read that, and
yeah,
I think
this is quite an
that there's a
I could
valid point
exact
there. Definitely.
yeah, I couldn't explain it completely because that's a separate article on itself. This is first of
Yes.
a game recap, and I just want to cover how
Hmm.
PSG have to move forward. They have the league title to look
Hmm.
forward to. Their not season isn't
Hmm.
completely over. So
Hmm.
yeah, they need midfielders, they need wing backs, they need to
Hmm.
overall improve their team.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm. Hmm.
think Mbappe's funds, and they can't afford two. I mean, of course they can, but like if they afford two superstars like Mbappe and Neymar with the salaries they're paying and the
Well,
wages
you
and
need a team
everything,
around superstars because that's what we saw again, Man City, right? They weren't a team of
yeah,
superstars. They were a team of excellent players who have been rounded
yeah,
up in a.
that's
The recruitment has
and
been brilliant there, and yeah, you're right. Yes, that's what I
and
think.
that's where
This
the
is under
point
the
is
article
that
also. Yes.
this is where the point is that you would much
Yeah.
rather have
Absolutely.
a team of
Absolutely.
excellent players who are not relying on one person
Hmm.
rather than a team of superstars, of two, three superstars who are like
Yeah,
your
the
last hope
Galactico
for the
model
team.
doesn't really win you that much. Like we've seen that. I think Real Madrid have been trying that for 20 years under Perez now, and their track record, like the team that actually won, wasn't like it had one superstar, and Gareth Bale was playing for a bit. Like okay, fine, call it two
I
superstars
mean,
if you want,
that's the
but the
one
rest of them were
superstar
role
they
players, and
had.
they were role players who were excellent at their roles, and that is what won them. That's the foundation that that team was based on. The Galacticos
Yeah,
concept doesn't really win you everything in football, but the way that Real Madrid played in the last few years with their model of with their midfield trio, their back line,
yeah,
with
that's all
Karim Benzema,
important.
the most unselfishly brilliant center forward around. Because the others are all like you look at them, look at Lewandowski. He's not going to give you a goal. He's going to smash that shit in. Like good on him.
Oh
That's
yeah,
not
for
wrong.
sure.
I'm not. You don't have to be unselfish. If you're putting in the goal, if you're the best chance of scoring a goal, you take that
I think
shot.
even
Be
Benzema
Michael
has
Jordan.
filled
Why
up.
not?
I mean, I think with that point, I think Benzema has also started to be a little more involved in the goal scoring
Oh no, he
himself
has
now.
to be because there is nobody else to
Oh
take
yeah,
up the
because
slack.
Ronaldo isn't there for sure.
He
Yeah,
could have done that in those
I
years also,
understand.
but he's doing it now because
Yeah,
that's what the team requires of him. That's what he is. He's a
now he's
team guy.
stepping up. He's stepping
He
up
is
for the
what the
team
team
for
needs
sure.
him to be. He's the Batman of that team. He is what you need him to be, and he'll do exactly what you need him to do. You need him to
For
score
sure.
goals, he's scoring goals. You
He
need him to set up
will
Ronaldo,
do.
he's setting up Ronaldo. Like Karim Benzema, I personally have underrated him so much. And Karim Benzema is a much better there player than I ever thought he was. And like I am a huge fan of those Real Madrid guys and what they've done and the things that they've achieved. And and Benzema deserves those 72 Champions League goals that he scored. I didn't think that he's an excellent scorer or anything, but he is. And
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of hated him till the age of 13 or 12 because I used to play FIFA and that player in game couldn't finish one chance. I always used to bench him
yeah, but
while
then
I was
that's the
playing for
problem with
Real
FIFA.
Madrid.
That's the
Oh
problem with
yeah, for
FIFA.
sure.
Like it won't work like
The
a bit.
game is shit. Yeah. I was
Not
12.
even
I was
shit.
12. Man.
It's not simulation. It's not a football simulation. Like I remember someday somebody was talking about playing like simulating matches on FIFA. I was like, why would you do that? Like what's the point there? Like it's not realistic enough for you to. It's not football manager where their concept is supposed to be you being put in a more realistic football manager. I'm not saying it's completely realistic, but the demands that game makes of you are more make more sense than anything FIFA career mode asks of you. So
That's true.
yeah, and I
So I
don't
think
I
that's
didn't understand that at all. Yeah. Okay, I think we've
mm,
gone on long enough and we've talked about a lot of different things. Honestly,
mm,
it bounced around a bit too much in my opinion. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. I wrote about Atletico Madrid this week, and if you care even a little bit about that club and
we'll
want to know
leave
how
the
that's
links of both the articles in the YouTube video below.
okay, I'll do that. Yeah,
Mm.
and I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. And next week we are doing Friday, right? Or
Yeah, we'll do it from Friday now. So we'll
yeah,
get let you know, guys. It's fine. We'll
yeah,
share it on our
we'll
Instagram or
advertise
Twitter.
that on Instagram beforehand and on Reddit also, like wherever we can. And thank you very much for watching, and please join us next time. Thank you. Bye bye.